When I was a kid, my very first memory in first grade was my teacher telling me, "Christopher, shut up." And she didn't say that, but she implied that because every single day I would be punished for talking too much in class. But the biggest challenge I had growing up was that I was really short. I was the shortest kid in class, and what do they do with my biggest insecurity? They literally lined up the shortest kid from the front of the line, so wherever I went, I was just always very self-conscious. But thankfully around this time at age 12, my uncle Ding hired me at his insurance company. And so the first time in my life, I was so moved, so motivated, so encouraged, because even though at school I was bullied, punished, and teased, at work, my uncle was literally parading around to his clients and saying, "Look at my nephew, he's so bright, he's so smart, he's such a quick learner." And from that encouragement, never would I have imagined that I would be a student club president in college, where I'd be managing over 100 people. And then when I got to my 20s, I worked at American Express. And then after leaving American Express, I've written multiple books, including a #1 bestseller, shared the stages with big personalities like Elon Musk, President Clinton, and the TED founder Richard Saul-Wurman, blessed to help global brands like eBay, Amazon, and Google to help their executives and professionals craft their story in a way based on science so they can build better relationships in their business. I also help entrepreneurs teach them how to build a global brand, how to build a network. Also started a homeless youth program. We've inspired and helped thousands of homeless kids stay in school, attend college, and find jobs. I've also traveled millions of miles around the world, helped millions of people both online and offline in 92 countries. When you think about your why in life, it really is about who you want to serve. So imagine every single moment when you wake up and you open your eyes and you see that sunrise, realize that that's one more opportunity for you to live your dreams, because your next chapter is your best chapter.
Georgia! Atlanta, Georgia, I don't hear you! Atlanta, Georgia, I don't hear you! All right, are you learning something today so far? So I'm going to go through something called Networking with Billionaires. But before I mention that, I want to share one thing. Even though Shane, let's first of all give some love for Shane. He doesn't hear that. You got to give some love for Shane. So even though he jokes around about, here's another Asian cousin, I got to tell you, I've been doing this for over 20 years. And at every single conference I've ever spoken at, I've never seen 3 Asian speakers. Now, that might sound funny, but more seriously, as an Asian American in our great country, there's 25 million of us. And why do I not have a role model that might look like us? And so deeply speaking, how many of you have ever felt like an outsider? Raise your hand. So this speech, this book that I wrote about big game hunting, which you're going to learn today, is about all of us who've ever felt like an outsider, because you never really feel the pain unless you've been on the outside. And so he talks about how there's 3 Asian brothers, cousins, just so all of you know. This conference is about business and making money. That's cool. But you have to know, you have to feel what you really want in life. And when you feel what you want in life, you'll actually be able to pursue your dreams. But what's the point of money if you don't have meaning? What's the point of profit if you don't have purpose? So my purpose here for you, aside from saying amen, which thank you for that, is that I hope you leave here knowing and feeling that you're never an outsider if you know what you are on the inside. I'll say that again. You will never feel like an outsider if you know how you feel like on the inside. I have literally helped people from committing suicide because they felt alone. They felt like an outsider. They felt marginalized. We live in a world that there's so much divisiveness going on, but we're all human beings, right? So I hope you honor yourself, honor your heart, and know that we're here to serve other people. So with that, let's give Shane one more round of applause, please. All right. All of you stand up for a second, please. So here's the thing about networking with billionaires. Before you say one word, they're going to judge you, whether you like it or not. They do judge a book by its cover. And the whole network with billionaires it's less about the billionaires and it's more about your mindset. It's less about the billionaires and it's more about the celebrities in the industry. What I like about this conference is that you can go to conferences that you have celebrities. It's like, oh my gosh, I get to see this famous baseball player or basketball player, and that's cool, right? But at this conference are experts who are celebrities in the industry. And when you have experts in the industry, you can actually learn and apply. Nothing wrong with celebrities, but I'm really grateful that you're here because you want to learn. But when you meet someone, make sure you have good posture. And it's as simple as rolling your shoulders back, tucking your abs in, tucking your butt in, widening your stance, shoulder length apart, and your actual weight should be on the heels of your feet. You should be able to actually twinkle your toes. But if you just stand like this, you'll already feel more powerful in life. So when you meet people, whether you're networking with billionaires, whether you're talking to people, you already have a presence. Before you say one word, if I'm standing here like this, I'm ready to empower you, to motivate you, to inspire you. But if I'm standing like this and looking down and scrunching my shoulders back and crossing my legs and crossing my arms, that doesn't convey power. But I want you all to know that if you just start standing up straighter, you'll feel more powerful. Does that make sense, everyone? All right, you can all sit down now. All right, so you ready to understand how to network with billionaires and how to pivot to more purposeful success? Yes? Next slide, please. So when I first came to Atlanta, Georgia, I'm from New York City. Any New Yorkers in town? What's up, New York? So us New Yorkers know in the north, we're like, oh my gosh, I'm going to the south. Because in the south, there's certain historical parts. But on April 14th, 2000, I came here to see Les Brown. Who's a fan of Les Brown? Anyone like Les Brown? This man is like the Michael Jordan of speaking. And like I said before, growing up in Woodside, Queens, I never had role models. So I literally know more about black history than some of my black friends because as an Asian brother in New York City, who are my role models? Nothing wrong with white people, Latino. I'm just saying it's like I want to see someone that I can be like. And so when I got a chance to meet Les Brown and share stage with Les Brown, but at that time, it was my mother's birthday, and I was literally standing in front of Dr. King's gravesite. Have you been to the King Center? It's so powerful where Dr. King is interred there, but this is right after I quit my job at American Express in New York City. This is right after I decided to move to California, and my dream was to move to California and write a book, and then be a speaker, and that was in San Francisco, and then I moved down to LA and be a singer-songwriter. So I had all these dreams because at my mid-20s, I was working at American Express. I had the outer success. I'd already bought my first luxury apartment when I was 24 in New York City. So on the outside, working at American Express, very high mobility for promotion. But on the inside, I was dying. On the inside, I felt weak. On the inside, I felt broken. But then I'm inspired by Les Brown. I'm in Atlanta, Georgia, and I see this man, and I'm so inspired on my mom's birthday, literally 3 weeks before I go out to California. I say this because you can make all the money in the world and still feel empty. And I'm telling you this from experience. I've met easily over 100 billionaires. I've met royalty. I've met celebrities. Money actually does buy happiness if it's experiences, buying your time back, and actually donating to charity. So it actually does buy happiness. But if you don't have friends that you love, if you don't have a cause you believe in, you'll be the most emptiest person with the biggest bank account in the world. So I start this by anchoring, I want you to network with billionaires and millionaires. And the reason why billionaires are so cool in terms of to learn from, if we're all capitalists in this room, we're all business owners, right? Why would you want to learn from someone else as opposed to the 3,082 billionaires out of 8 billion people? So if you're going to learn, why not learn from them? Because they're like the Picassos, the Dalis, the Michelangelos of capitalism. So if I'm going to learn, I'll learn from the top. Again, not just billionaires, but the people that are celebrities in your industry. And the reason why billionaires are also very efficient, when I started meeting these billionaires, it's not a coincidence that everyone surrounds him or her. So whether you want to meet billionaires or not, the multimillionaires are there, the millionaires are there, so it's very efficient. Anywhere the billionaire goes, everyone else wants to go there too. And why not make your life more efficient, more stress-free, and just more effective? It sounds simple, and the easiest way to meet a billionaire is just volunteer at one of their charities. It's one of the simplest ways to meet people at that level, and you don't have to even worry about meeting, oh my God, I want to meet Elon Musk or Jeff Bezos. Just meet the people in those rooms, because that's where you'll really see the true power. Because if you don't do that, you're gonna go to another conference, another event, another networking event, where if you go to something like a Milken conference in LA in the first week of May, which costs $25,000 to go, well, Sam Zell has since passed away, but I'm just saying you'll see anyone who's everyone in that room. And even if you can't afford $25,000, no one's stopping you from what I call lobby hugging, where you go to the lobby and they're all in the same place. They're at the Waldorf Astoria, Beverly Wilshire Hotel on Wilshire Boulevard and Rodeo Drive. They're at the Four Seasons on Doheny, and then Mayborn and possibly Peninsula. You hit up those 5 hotels, you'll meet anyone you want anywhere in the world in those 4 days for free. Does that make sense, everyone? Okay, but I wanted to anchor this specific speech by reminding you, what are your dreams? Because when I meet people, Christopher, when I make my first million, when I make my first 10 million, it doesn't matter how much you want to make. Think about what you actually want to do. Not what you want to make, what you want to do. Because if you actually only focus on money and not have actual dreams, you're going to be one of those very empty people that make all this money and usually don't even make that much money and they have no dreams. So if you say you want to be a founder of a nonprofit or write a book or travel, no one's stopping you from doing that right now. When I started a homeless youth program 14 years ago, it was one of the darkest, poorest, and most depressing times of my life, but I said, I want to volunteer, I want to give, I want to serve. And who are the ones that most need it, at least in the United States? Homeless kids who literally have no home, no pillow, nothing. Anyone ever been to Skid Row in downtown Los Angeles? It's the worst part of town in our country. The people in this homeless shelter, their neighbors are literally prostitutes, drug dealers, drug addicts, murderers, rapists, and whatnot. And these kids that live there, who I got to mentor, reminded me of my purpose. So all I'm saying, for whatever you're doing here, go ahead and make that money. Make sure you focus on your dreams, because no one knows how many more days we have here. And I wanted to start with that because this is a man that I so admire, but without the meaning, money means nothing. Without purpose, profit means nothing. Next slide, please. So let's talk about, there are actually 4 levels of networking. The first one is traditional. 90% of people I meet in the world, I've been doing this for over 20 years, they do traditional. They don't research the event, they don't pay for the event, it fits their schedule, they hand out business cards, it's a waste of time. That's the traditional networking. Next one is it's called scientific networking. It's literally a science. In the most basic form of science-based networking, a guy named Dr. Ron Burt, he studies this stuff. Imagine this guy studies network science. And he's found that your network is the #1 best predictor for career success. The layperson will say, your network is your net worth. But the deeper meaning of network is not just your net worth. It's your self-worth, it's your personal worth, it's your professional worth, it's everything, because how do you even feel worthy of yourself? It's usually based on someone else. Think about that. When you grow up, if you meet an uncle, like I did, who's successful, I'm like, oh wow, I want to be like him. And so I know what a person with high net worth means, but I also know where I want to go. But it's just understanding everything is about what we're looking at to see how we judge ourselves. So in this case, the open network is essentially people that aren't like you. So let's say you want to clear $1 million, $10 million, $100 million, $1 billion. That's considered your open network. When you grow up, it's often called a closed network, meaning when I was growing up in Woodside, Queens, 4 miles east of New York, I grew up Catholic. I hung out primarily with my guy friends, and I ride my bicycle within literally like a 3-block radius. So it was a closed network. When I was in Tel Aviv a few years back, a buddy that I met there who's a programmer, when I told him I wrote a book about networking with billionaires, he's like, dude, I want to check out your phone. I want to see your Rolodex. I'm like, why? Because again, I forget what I do sometimes, right? So he's like, no, I want to see your phone. So an open network is that if you looked at my phone, it's this not with billionaires. It's with athletes, it's with CIA agents, it's with professors, it's with people in their 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, and 60s. There's a reason why an Elon Musk, can build rockets, not because he was a space guy, it's because he was literally outside the space industry. There's a reason why Steve Jobs, he actually hired AT&T to build a phone, but he was outside the phone industry. There's a reason why the Wright brothers, they were bicycle mechanics, and they went outside an open network and created the first gas-powered plane. But if you want to do more in life, yes, focus on real estate, but start having more of an open network of people that are not like you, because you cannot grow if you're in the same network. It sounds so simple, but even in physics, Isaac Newton, who literally is a genius, the first law of motion, an object stays in motion unless acted on by an outside force. That's why finding a coach is so powerful. But an object that stays at rest without that outside force. So if you're wondering why you're not progressing and you're going in the wrong direction, it's probably because you don't have an outside force. Show of hands, how many of you ever hired a coach? Yeah. So until I started hiring a coach, I didn't go exponential. I didn't pivot. And it was more about arrogance, ignorance, and I could do it myself, but it's a lot easier when you just buy speed. But again, traditional networking, everyone does. Don't research. It's convenient. You just pass a business card. Next one is science-based, where it's actual science. Focus more on an open network as opposed to closed network. And the simplest thing you do there is look at your phone and see if everyone on your phone makes the same amount of money as you, prays the same as you, plays the same as you, is the same gender. You might want to consider changing that around. The second form of networking is what I call big game networking, which is what my book is about. People you think that are out of your reach. People you think that are up here. People you think that they're so out there you can't reach them. Now, to be clear, it's not easy to meet someone like Elon Musk, but it's more important that you understand how to get to those rooms where Elon Musk is. So for instance, when I met Elon most recently, he was at a conference called FII in Miami. President Trump spoke there. And again, I'm not playing politics at all. I don't care if you like or hate him. I'm just saying people in power are in those rooms. So those of you who play the politics game, you'll see that people in true power, there's both Democrats and Republicans. Because you know why? They're about green and power. Whereas everyone else is just going back and forth between the Republican and Democrat. But when he was there, the people in that room, I'm sure you can find investors or family offices because they're all there. But that's big game networking where you could have literally been in the lobby at Faena in Miami. So there are people out there, but it's more important to meet their team and meet their circle, and you think that way, and you'll be so much more successful. Does this make sense, everyone? The last level of networking is what I call next level networking, which is speaking. When you speak on a stage, you literally have instant authority. People come to you, and no one's going to question your credibility, whether it's on an actual stage or on a virtual stage. And none of you have an excuse because if, let's say, I had a client named Dragana, because I actually help people become speakers, I help people create their own events, I help people actually become an expert in their field. Dragana wanted to be a coach. She was a former professional tennis player, and she was so petrified, she wouldn't even do a Facebook Live. I said, Dragana, I got you. I literally sat down next to her. She did a Facebook Live. She loved the experience because she had all this amazing fan and views, and she ended up making 6 figures in a span of, I think, within a year. And for sure, she's past 7 figures now. My point is, anyone can put their phone up and just share one story about yourself. Just keep it simple. But the next level of networking about speaking is the best way. Next slide. Now, what I didn't realize is that this first book took me 8 years. But it was the last 8 weeks when I had my open network, which I paid for. I hired a guy named Dan Pointer. I went to a seminar. He's since passed away, but he wrote over 100 books to figure out how to write a book. And then he upsold me something else, and I bought that too. My point is, coaching is the best way to just accelerate and buy speed. And had I been less egotistical, less arrogant, and less naive, I would have just invested more because I was just too proud. I just had too much ego. And you know what ego stands for? Ego stands for erasing great opportunities. Ego stands for erasing great opportunities. I can't tell you how many people I meet that say they want to be a speaker. And they come to me with all this hubris and all this ego. I'm like, dude, I'm not in tech. I'm not in healthcare. I have bought real estate, but I know my lane. If you talk about credibility, communication on stage, and connections, I'm your guy. But everything else, don't talk to me. All I'm saying is I know my lane. So know your lane of genius. What I'm saying is start looking at who you want to be, where you want to be, who your dreams are, and start building that open network for yourself. Because your life should be inspiring. Life isn't always inspiring. Your husband and wife not be inspiring. Your kids might not be inspiring. Hopefully they are, right? But we have that option to have this open network. Next slide. What I didn't realize is that when I wrote my book, which took 8 years, when I had my website, when I had the speeches, no one cared. No one cared about my dreams. No one cared about that I wanted to help people. They just saw this guy that had a book on a website. Because I didn't realize, unless you have credibility, they don't care. So someone's gonna Google you, and you'll either be invisible, visible, or an expert. And so what I teach people to do is how to be experts. Next slide. Simplest way is this. It's what I call a boss bio. The boss bio is essentially when they look at your bio, they're like, wow, this man or woman is a boss. Because if you have a network, it's literally useless if they see you, and they usually don't tell this in person, but if they see you, they already know, oh, this guy or gal is not credible, i.e. trustworthy, so they're not going to work with you. They never tell you that. But it could be as simple as, if you're a coach, but you've been speaking as well, you're better off saying you're a speaker and a coach and not just a coach. It seems simple, but if I say Christopher Kai is a business coach, anyone can say that. But if you hear someone says Michael Moore is a national speaker, a little bit better. What if it's Leanne Moore is an international speaker, even better. But what if it's Michael Landers is a Fortune 100 global speaker? Just words, but branding, credibility, it's brand names and numbers. If I have told you that I've given over 1,000 presentations, share the stage with Elon Musk, President Clinton, President Trump, Bill Gates, you name it, that's boss bio credibility. But for all of you, wherever you're at, make sure you anchor. If you have a company, you say you're a founder and CEO. It sounds simple, but based on psychology and persuasion science, you have a 25% more chance of persuading someone by simply stating that you're an authority figure. It can be as simple as like, I'm the top business owner in my niche. You don't ever want to lie, but you want to use these just basic terms to say things that convey presence. Next slide. Let me give you a very specific example. I posted this because, the last slide before that, please. Again, these are people I either met or shared the stage with, but just seeing that, it anchors. You may not know me, but if I say, hey, these are the people I've worked with or met or shared the stage with, it creates instant credibility. Next slide. And this is why, for those of you who are overly shy and you might crap on people, oh, they're taking pictures, it's called success by association. If someone doesn't know you, and every single person you're taking pictures with are in your actual sphere and industry, then it's just by association. And no one cared about my books, about my speaking, about my coaching, until I started getting a #1 bestseller and getting profiled on Inc. magazine and them calling me Billy Network. Again, I'm the same guy, I'm the same heart, I'm the same purpose, but if you don't have a credible brand, whatever you're doing, it's gonna be harder, more tough, you're gonna suffer more, and why not? Just be more mindful of your boss bio credible brand. Next slide. So I'm gonna finish off. Again, I would never could have imagined I can make 50 grand from one speech, but I've since made millions from like selling from stages. Next slide. And lastly, if you want my book, like I said, if you've ever felt like an outsider, know that it's possible to do better in life, to serve more, to love more, to dream more, because you can make all the money in the world, but if you don't actually have dreams that you deeply care for from your heart and spend time with people that you truly love, you're going to live a very empty life. And I don't want you to live the life that I lived back then. So hopefully this was helpful. Thank you so much, and I'll see you soon.